Elon Musk sat in his Tesla, staring at a small grocery store. Today, he didn't feel like sending someone to shop for him. He wanted to do something normal, something he hadn't done in years: shop for himself. He stepped out of the car, dressed in a hoodie and jeans. His hair was messy, and his shoes had scuff marks. No one would have guessed this man was a billionaire. As he entered the store, the smell of freshly baked bread hit him, and he smiled, enjoying the moment of anonymity. Elon grabbed a basket and began browsing the aisles. He picked up a loaf of bread, a carton of milk, and a chocolate bar. It felt good to be away from the pressures of boardrooms and the constant buzz of technology. But as he approached the checkout counter, his moment of peace came to an abrupt end. The cashier, a young woman with sharp eyes and a sarcastic smirk, eyed him suspiciously. She muttered under her breath, "Can't believe they let anyone walk in here these days." Elon frowned but said nothing. He placed his items on the counter, unaware of the humiliation waiting for him. The cashier scanned Elon's items slowly and deliberately, her gaze full of disapproval. "Is that all?" she asked, her tone dripping with irritation. "Yes," Elon replied calmly, handing over his card. The cashier raised an eyebrow and chuckled. "Oh, so you're paying with a card? I was sure you'd try asking for a discount or something." Elon's expression didn't change, but inside, he felt a flicker of anger. "Just run the card, please," he said evenly. She took the card and glanced at the name printed on it. Her eyes widened for a moment before narrowing suspiciously. "Elon Musk?"
"Yeah, right."
"Is this a joke?" Elon sighed. "It's not a joke. That's my name." The cashier laughed loudly, drawing attention from other customers. "Sure, and I'm Oprah Winfrey," she mocked. The crowd behind him started whispering, some even laughing along with the cashier. Elon's patience was wearing thin, but he stayed calm. "Just run the card," he repeated. The cashier shook her head, muttering, "This is going to be fun." She swiped the card, and the result was the same: declined. "Oh look, declined," she announced loudly, holding the card up for everyone to see. Elon's face turned red, but he remained composed. "That's impossible." "Try it again," he said firmly. The cashier rolled her eyes. "Why bother? Clearly, you don't have the funds," she said. "Or maybe you just found this card somewhere?" The crowd started to giggle. One man whispered, "Who does he think he's fooling?" Another added, "Looks like he can't even afford bread." The cashier swiped the card again, and the result was the same. "Yep, just as I thought," she said, tossing the card back at him. "Do you have another way to pay, or are you just wasting everyone's time?" Elon's hands shook with frustration. He wasn't used to being treated this way. The whispers and laughter from the crowd felt like a weight pressing on his chest. "I'll pay cash," he said, reaching into his pocket. "Oh, now he's got cash," the cashier sneered. "Let me guess, it's all in pennies?" The laughter grew louder. Elon's hands trembled as he fumbled with his wallet, determined not to let them see him break. As he tried to pay with cash, the cashier raised her hand.
"Hold on," she said.
"We need to make sure this isn't counterfeit." "Counterfeits," Elon repeated, his frustration bubbling to the surface. "Are you serious?" "Dead serious," she replied, waving over the manager. "Hey, we got a situation here." A tall, balding man in a button-down shirt walked over, his face lined with irritation. "What's the problem?" he asked. "This guy claims he's Elon Musk," the cashier said, holding up his card. "And now he's trying to pay with cash. Doesn't that sound fishy?" The manager looked Elon up and down, his expression unreadable. "Do you have any ID?" he asked. Elon handed over his driver's license without a word. The manager inspected it for a long moment before shaking his head. "This doesn't prove anything," he said, handing it back. "Anyone can make a fake ID these days." Elon took a deep breath, trying to remain calm. "I don't want any trouble. I just want to pay for my items and leave." The manager frowned. "Not until we verify your identity." Elon's disbelief and anger grew. The whispers from the crowd had gotten louder, with people openly mocking him. "Maybe he's a scammer," someone said. "Why would Elon Musk even shop here?" Another customer laughed. The manager folded his arms. If you can't prove who you are, I'm going to have to ask you to leave. This is absurd, Elon said sharply. You're making a huge mistake. The manager waved over a security guard, a burly man with a no-nonsense expression. Escort him out, the manager ordered. The security guard stepped forward and placed a hand on Elon's shoulder. Let's go, buddy. Elon looked at the items he had picked out, simple groceries he had wanted to buy. He thought about arguing, but the crowd's laughter and the guard's firm grip made it clear he wasn't welcome here. As he was led out of the store, the cashier called after him, "Better luck next time, Mr. Musk." The doors closed behind him, and Elon stood in the parking lot, his face burning with humiliation. But deep inside, a fire was building determination. He wasn't going to let this moment slide. It was a lesson, and he intended to make it unforgettable. Elon's anger grew with every passing minute. This wasn't just a one-time mistake. This was a habit. Elon's team had arrived at different stores with one mission: to document the treatment of customers. Each carried hidden cameras to capture the interactions. At the original store, Elon bought a small disposable camera and pretended to take photos of the shelves. The cashier glanced at him suspiciously, but didn't say anything. Meanwhile, his team members were facing similar challenges. At one store, a teammate was told to hurry up while fumbling for change, while a well-dressed customer next to them received a friendly chat from the cashier. Back at the original store, Elon waited until the line at the counter grew longer. He intentionally picked the same cashier and stood at the end of the line, observing her behavior. When it was finally his turn, she gave him a quick look and sighed. "Didn't I deal with you yesterday?" she asked. Elon handed her his items without a word. She scanned them begrudgingly, muttering under her breath, "Your total is $8.50. Elon handed her a crisp $10 bill. She stared at it, then said sarcastically, "Well, look who actually has money today." Elon didn't respond, but inside, he was fuming. Back at home, Elon reviewed the footage from the hidden cameras. The patterns were clear. Employees across multiple locations were treating customers based on their appearance. "This isn't just one bad employee," Elon said to his team during a late-night meeting. "This is a culture problem." His team nodded in agreement. "What do you want to do about it?" one of them asked. Elon leaned back in his chair, deep in thought. "We're not going to expose them yet. I want to give them a chance to fix this, but first they need to know who they're dealing with," said, his voice calm but firm. The CEO's eyes widened in shock. "Mr. Musk, I didn't recognize you." "That's the problem," Elon replied. "Let me tell you what happened." Elon recounted the entire experience to the CEO, from the humiliation at the hands of the cashier to the findings from his team's investigation. As he spoke, the CEO's face grew pale. "I can't believe this happened at one of our stores," the CEO said, shaking his head. "It's not just one store," Elon replied. "It's a pattern. Your employees judge people based on their looks. Do you realize how damaging that is?" The CEO leaned back in his chair, clearly overwhelmed. "Mr. Musk, I assure you this isn't how we train our staff. We take customer service very seriously." "Then why is it happening?" Elon asked, his voice sharp. The CEO hesitated. I don't know, but I promise you will get to the bottom of it." Elon stared at him for a moment before speaking again. "You'll have your chance to fix this, but if you don't, I will." The CEO nodded, understanding the weight of the warning. "Thank you for bringing this to my attention, Mr. Musk. We'll take immediate action." As Elon left the office, he felt a sense of satisfaction, but deep down, he knew this was far from over. Elon wasn't satisfied with the CEO's promise. Talk is cheap, he thought. He wanted to see if the chain would actually take action, so he decided to test them on a bigger scale. A week later, Elon disguised himself again, this time heading to a different branch. His team also recruited volunteers, ordinary people dressed in old clothes who would secretly record their shopping experiences. Elon entered the store, grabbing a cart and moving toward the bakery section. He noticed a man in a sharp suit being greeted warmly by a staff member. Seconds later, a woman in tattered clothes approached the same employee, only to be ignored completely. As Elon moved toward the cashier, he saw the same thing unfold. Well-dressed customers were treated like royalty, while others were met with impatience or outright rudeness. When it was Elon's turn, the cashier barely glanced at him.
"You can't use this line," she said.
"Why not?" Elon asked, confused. "This is for paying customers," she replied with a smirk, motioning toward another line that was much longer. Elon's blood boiled, but he stayed silent. He knew he had enough proof now to make his next move. After collecting all the footage, Elon decided it was time to take action. He uploaded clips of the rude behavior and biased treatment to social media, but without revealing his identity. The videos went viral within hours. People couldn't believe the audacity of the employees. Comments poured in from all over the world, many sharing their own stories of similar treatment. "Shameful," one comment read. "Why do some people think they're better than others just because of how someone looks?" Another person wrote, "I stopped shopping at this chain years ago because of this exact behavior." Elon watched the reaction closely. As expected, the CEO of the chain quickly released a public apology, promising to retrain all employees and change company policies. But Elon wasn't convinced. "This is just damage control," he told his team. "They're not addressing the root cause." The pressure was mounting on the grocery chain, but Elon knew his next move would be the one that truly made a difference. He decided to go undercover one last time. This time, he wanted to talk to the employees themselves. He walked into a store wearing a janitor's uniform, pretending to be a new hire. As he mopped the floors and cleaned shelves, he listened carefully to the conversations around him. What he discovered shocked him. Many employees were overworked and underpaid, leading to frustration and bitterness. Some admitted they judged customers because it was the only way they felt powerful in a job where they were treated poorly. "They don't care about us," one employee told another. "So why should we care about the customers?" Elon felt a pang of sympathy. He realized the issue was deeper than just bad behavior. It was a toxic work culture. At the end of his shift, he sat in the break room, thinking about how to fix this problem. He didn't just want to punish the chain. He wanted to create real change. Elon arranged another meeting with the grocery chain CEO, but this time, he wasn't polite. "I've seen your stores up close," Elon began. "And your employees are miserable. And that's why they treat customers poorly." The CEO looked uncomfortable. "We've already apologized and promised to retrain them," he said defensively. "Training won't fix this," Elon shot back. "Your employees are overworked, underpaid, and treated like they don't matter. How do you expect them to treat customers with respect when they don't feel respected themselves?" The CEO shifted in his chair. "We can't just raise wages or reduce hours. That would hurt our bottom line." Elon leaned forward, his eyes blazing. "Your bottom line isn't the problem. Your priorities are." The CEO didn't respond, but his silence spoke volumes. "You're missing an opportunity here," Elon continued. "If you treat your employees well, they'll treat your customers well. That's how you build loyalty and success." The CEO sighed. "I'll think about it." Elon stood up, shaking his head. "You better do more than think, because if you don't, I will." Elon decided it was time to take matters into his own hands. If the grocery chain wouldn't change, he would create an alternative. He called a meeting with his top advisors and laid out his plan. A new grocery store chain that treated both employees and customers with dignity and respect. "We'll start small," he said. "A few stores and key locations, but we'll pay employees fair wages, offer them benefits, and train them to treat every customer like they matter." His team was skeptical. "Is this really worth your time?" one advisor asked. Elon nodded. "This isn't just about groceries, it's about setting an example. If we can show that treating people right leads to success, others will follow." The next few weeks were a whirlwind of planning and preparation. Elon personally visited potential locations, spoke to industry experts, and even interviewed former employees from the grocery chain to understand what they needed most. As the pieces began to fall into place, Elon felt a renewed sense of purpose. He wasn't just building a business, he was building a movement. After weeks of preparation, Elon's new grocery store chain, Better Choice, was ready to open its first location. The name reflected his mission to be a better choice for employees, customers, and the community. The store was modest compared to others, but it had a warm and welcoming atmosphere. Employees were smiling, eager to start their first day under a new philosophy. They had been trained not only in customer service but also in empathy and respect. Elon, dressed in his usual casual attire, decided to be there for the opening day. He wanted to observe firsthand how customers and employees interacted. People started arriving as soon as the doors opened. At first, they seemed surprised by how different the store felt. Employees greeted everyone warmly, offering help without judgment. But the real test came when a woman wearing torn clothes walked in hesitantly. Elon watched closely as an employee approached her with the same kindness they showed to everyone else. The woman's eyes filled with tears. "No one's treated me like this in a long time," she whispered. Elon smiled.